Welcome to the Union County Sheriff's Forum. Tonight, the participating candidates are Sheriff Boyd Rasmussen, Cody Bowen, Bill Miller, and Shane Rollins. We're coming to you live from Brent Clapp Studios, the home of EO Alive TV in downtown La Grande. Tonight's moderators are Brent Clapp and Bob Kavanaugh.
Hey, Houston, welcome alive. We're so glad that you are here.
Thank you. We made it. We are here. We exist. It happened.
Yeah.
A little choppy, a little sketchy, but we're here. So welcome to the broadcast to the 2020 Union County Sheriff's Forum. I'm Bob Kavanaugh, and this is...
I'm Brent Clapp, and we're really glad that you're here.
Yes, we are.
First of all, we want to just thank my ongoing sponsors of EONI and Grand Ron Hospital. You wouldn't hear us tonight if it weren't for EONI, and we're just really thankful for those long-term sponsors that we've had at EO Alive TV.
And we also have a special thanks for our sponsor and our title sponsors who are bringing this night to us. Old West Federal Credit Union is our title sponsor. Thank you, Old West Credit Union. Also, thank you, Brent, for hosting this amazing evening that we get to hang out with these candidates. I know we started a little bit late. Things are out of our control. But Brent Clapp Production Studios, thank you. Also to our viewers, thank you for taking time to be with us this evening and to hang out with the candidates. And we definitely want to thank our candidates, because what our viewers don't know is we have just been scrambling trying to get this dialed in. And so again, candidates, thank you for your time.
Yeah. And we really appreciate it. So our control room, will you guys be sure and mute our candidates' microphones? I think they're going out over there.
They're like, I'm out of it.
Yeah.
You've waited too long.
So hey, our main sponsor tonight has been Old West, and we really appreciate you guys stepping up and helping us with this. And before we get going, Matt Goodwin from Old West has a message for us. And so take a look at this real quick.
Thanks for having me on. It's truly an honor for Old West Federal Credit Union to be the title sponsor for the Sheriff's Forum. Old West seeks to support our communities not only with financial services, but to meet other needs like this. Old West appreciates all the law enforcement does in our community, and we believe that voters in Union County deserve to hear the candidate's vision, and we want to thank each candidate for participating today. Have a wonderful night.
Nice. Matt, thank you. Matt Goodwin, again, commercial lender, also regional manager for Old West, doing good things in our community. Okay, so before we get going with our night tonight, we have a few things we want to go over quickly so that our viewers and our candidates fully know how we wanted to do this evening. To remind you, this is a forum. It's not a debate. Debates are about the candidates going after each other, and we will leave that to the mainstream media. A forum is a little bit different. It's like a job interview where each candidate will be able to put their best foot forward and discuss their own qualifications. Candidates will discuss issues that are important to Union County voters, you and I, so that we can make sure that we are having enough information come to us so we can make an informed decision. So that's a little bit of how the night is going to function, right?
Yeah. So we prepared the questions, and we'll be also monitoring the posts that are on social media and forwarding some of those questions or some of those comments. I want to be sure and remind you that the purpose of the questions is to have a healthy dialogue. We're not going to have any gotcha questions. No. And if you have gotcha questions that you're going to post online, we're not going to forward those. The point is to create questions and answers that all of the candidates equally can answer. And so if you form your comments and questions that way online, they have a much better chance of making it to the actual forum.
Right, making it through our filtering system.
That's right, yeah.
And the people at the phone banks and working through the computers. Anyway,
there's
the tablet banks. Okay, Brent is going to take a break right now. Thank you, Brent, for joining us.
Okay.
Now, moving on, hey, we're asking the candidates, as we go through the questions, the opening statements and the closing statements, we do have a time frame set for them. We're asking them to also address moderators, if it's me alone or Brent is back, they'll talk to both of us, or to you, our viewers. So here's the time frames, and candidates, good luck with this. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and tell us about who they are. Once those intros are complete, we'll move into the question and answer time. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions. And no questions really should be directed to a single candidate. And the way we've designed the questions really is to all the candidates so they can all answer them. Again, looking at that forum style versus a debate. So Brent, you're back. Welcome back.
I think I am. So
let's do this. We need to get to the opening statements.
Okay.
And so let's go ahead and let's get to the opening statements. So let's do this. So candidates, what we wanted to just let you know, you've got 3 minutes. Tell us about you. We don't have any framework for you. We've not thrown in a theme or a specific thing that you should be talking about. We just want to give you 3 minutes of free talk to tell us about you, who you are, and just something about you that maybe our viewers would not know. So we've actually gone through, we've selected these randomly. And so let's go ahead and start with Shane.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to introduce myself. This is really a great experience to be able to come forth and, let people get to know who I am. And I'll let you know that I am a local boy. I was born and raised here in this valley. I grew up and went to school in Imbler. When I graduated in '93, I went into the National Guard here locally. I was in the National Guard all the way up until late '98, decided to go full active duty, and I went into the Marine Corps. When I went to the Marine Corps, I started out as infantry. And while I was in the infantry, I served in the Iraq War as a platoon sergeant. I came back from there, decided to do a job change, and went into the Criminal Investigations Division. While I was a criminal investigator, I went into basically it's a FLETC program, a federally law enforcement accredited course, to get my training. I did that for a few years, and then I had to change my job again due to promotional reasons, and I went to the MP field. While I was in the MP field, I gained a lot more experience and training and background, but also afforded me the opportunity to be able to go into detachment commander for embassy duty overseas. Now, I was in 2 different embassies overseas. The first one was in Dushanbe, Tajikistan, and the second one was Botswana, Africa. As a detachment commander, I am fully responsible for the security of not only the American citizens there in the embassy, but also classified materials and doing the training with my Marines and the local guards. Once I completed that, I came back, continued out as the MP. I was a platoon commander and then was moved down to Miramar Air Station. When I was down in Miramar, I was placed as a assistant operations chief, where they placed me in charge of the Miramar Air Show. Now, if nobody's familiar with what that is, it's one of the largest air shows in the United States, if not in the world. And I was the sole person in charge of that for the security and all the moving parts. That is definitely an experience that was absolutely wonderful, but something I would not want to do again. Now, I went from there to admin chief, and then I retired in 2014, came back here to the Valley, where I have my 2 young kids and my wife, that I wanted them to live and grow up and experience what I did growing up here. Since I've been here and been retired, I had been approached by a good friend of mine who is Brett Beveridge, and he approached me and told me because of my background that I
are the other guys here and everything?
So here I am before you all, throwing myself out there. I'm retired. I don't have to do this. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for the fame. I'm doing it because I truly care about our community. I want to bring my experiences to this community and make great change. I guess that's just me in a nutshell.
I do appreciate you saying you're throwing yourself out there. And I will say that for all of our candidates and for the viewers watching, you do have to think about something when it comes to these candidates. They are throwing themselves out there. And so thank you for what you had to say. Hey, let's go next to Cody. Cody, 3 minutes, free talk. Tell us about you. Give us some information, perhaps, that maybe we would not know. So Cody, take it away.
Oh, there we go. I'm unmuted. Absolutely. Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate having us. A little bit about me. I'm born and raised here in the Grand, grew up here, lived in Union, lived out in Cove for a little while. After high school, started my career working at Les Schwab. Actually started over in Pendleton, worked over there for a few years and got promoted up into the ranks, and spent the last 10 years at Les Schwab in management, where I was in charge of the store, in charge of multi-million-dollar operation as far as the budgeting, the advertising, the marketing, human resources, payroll, tools, everything. So earned a lot of management experience there. In about 15 years into that career, I was offered a job. I was offered a job by the sheriff, and my wife and I, my wife, God bless her, and our three children, we had a decision to make. I became a reserve, fell in love with law enforcement. I fell in love with helping people and being there. And sheriff offered me a job, and with that came a big decision. Leaving in 2011, leaving a great career and cutting my salary in half. And took about a year to accomplish that. And then sheriff took me on. It was about 10 months, I think, is the deadline that I had to get everything straightened out. And took a job with the sheriff's office, certified law enforcement officer since 2012, and spent the first 4 years patrolling the streets of Union County, out in the smaller communities, and figuring out where things were at and who people were. And man, had an opportunity to take the school resource officer job about 4 years ago, and I jumped all over that opportunity. I wanted to be the face of our office to our youth. I wanted to focus on building relationships with our kids, because we were at a time in our nation that, man, law enforcement, there was a few bad apples that really made a lot of us look bad, and I wanted to fix that if I could. On a local level, I wanted to fix that. So I went into it, jumped into it head and shoulders, heart and soul, and started developing a relationship with kids. And I spent the last 4 years doing so. The relationship with the kids was my priority, but building the relationships amongst the community and with the administrators, with the staff, with the parents, with the families, getting to know those people and being an everyday thing in their life, whether that was a consequence, whether that was structure, whether that was support. During that time, I also coached the LeGrand High School softball team, and people seeing me in different entities as far as having on a coach's uniform versus a sheriff's uniform versus my civilian clothes at Walmart. I wanted them to know who I was and the same person from start to finish. So, man, in a nutshell, like I said, I have a beautiful family here, and I want to continue living here, and I want to do everything I can to make our community a little safer and establish some better relationships and go forward with the great department that we have.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Cody. Thank you very much. Good. So as we move forward, again, audience, thank you for putting up with some of our technical difficulties. And I'm sure we're going to get some of these ironed out, but we've got two great opening statements. Let's go to Bill. I know we were working on Bill's audio. And so, Bill, can you hear me okay?
Get about.
All right, I got it. Better put you on hold for a second. Hang on a second.
Oh, boy.
I understand we're doing the 3-minute intro. So if you can hear me, I'll just start in. I'm Bill Miller. I'm 53 years old. I was moved to Union County in 1982 from Baker County. I graduated from Elgin High School and worked towards. I went into the military not long after graduation, after a year of college. I spent 4.5 years in the military. I left with honorable charge. I was in Europe for a little bit. I'm married. My wife of nearly 34 years. I have 2 grown sons. Union County means a lot to me. I've grown up here. I got out of the military and went to work in the sawmills, and that became unstable. So I chose to go into law enforcement, and I worked in corrections first, over at EOCI at the prison, became certified, and Sheriff Steve Oliver hired me into the jail. I did that for about 1.5 years, and due to budget cuts, 4 of us were laid off. Excuse me. And I went back to college and finished my degree while I was working odd jobs. And during that time, I was reserving on the road for the city of Elgin and the sheriff's office, plus my caseload, or my work course load. So I graduated college, and within a week or so, Dayton Sibley hired me full-time on with Elgin Police Department in about 2000, I want to say 2001. And I did that for about a year. Sheriff Rasmussen hired me. Within 2 years, I was promoted to detective, worked on the drug task force. Got a lot of experience there. Eventually, I was promoted to detective sergeant, and I was on his management team, his command staff. I went to the command college and got my supervisory certification. I have a lot of experience in that area, and I have a lot of experience prior corrections, so patrol, and now I'm working parole and probation. I left the sheriff's office in 2018, and I've got a well-rounded background in enforcement. I've got good relationships with partnering agencies. I built a lot of those as a sergeant when I was doing some of the managerial duties, and worked back in the jail, helped them out with certain decisions that had to be made, monitored the budget, certain aspects of the budget. And I enjoyed my job there. I love my job. I was very good at it. My job with parole and probation right now is going very well. It's giving me insight into the struggles of addiction and how that affects the community. We all know that someone in families or friends, someone near and dear to us that may be going through this. And I can't hear your cue if I get off. So that being said, I just want to come back and serve the citizens of Union County. I have the background to do that. I'm ready and willing to do that. My endorsements are excellent. Most of them are in law enforcement. I don't know any of the candidates that have law enforcement leaders that are endorsing me. They've seen my product. They've seen my work ethic and my integrity, and I have the tools to do the job. And I want to go back and finish what I started. I'm asking for the people to vote. I mean, I'm ready to get back in the saddle and go to work and give them the focused service they deserve. So
wonderful. Okay, Bill, thank you. Bill, we heard you very, very nicely, Bill. I know it's hard to hear us. I apologize about the audio. But the good news is we did hear you. So good stuff. Last one is for Boyd. Now, I know we are having struggles with the audio, so I think we've got Boyd on the cell phone. So, Mr. Boyd, can you hear us okay?
Yep. I gotcha.
Okay, so, and just to be fair, so everybody understands, I mean, and the audience understand, I've instructed the candidates pretty carefully to not talk about each other. That's not the point. The point here is to talk about your goals, your story.
Yep.
Hang on just 1 second, Boyd. Hang on.
All right.
And so since Boyd is not able to hear what the other candidates are saying, and so that's kind of the point of the phone call. So Boyd, the question is, tell us about your vision. And
actually, excuse me, we've not heard his 3-minute opening statement.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So sorry. So Boyd, give us your 3-minute opening statement in control room, just so we have so when they get close to the 3-minute part, if you'd bring us back into the frame so that they kind of have an idea of when they need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So Boyd, tell us about your
opening statement.
Give us your opening
It's free
statement.
talk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
the Grand Ron Valley. My father farmed in the valley. And actually Shane was there as well. So anyway, we were in the Embler area growing up, and
I did for a period of time, and I began going to
service
school
that I did for a period of time, and
worked on the farm for a little bit with my father, and then I started working at Boise Cascade full time, and worked on the farm, and then started attending EOU. And at that point, I met my wife Betty. We were married and started a family.
Like Betty,
and
we were married,
I started
a family, and
as a deputy. And I did that for a few years, was a detective, and then I was elected sheriff in 2005. So I've been the sheriff since 2005, so I'm on my 16th year, and that kind of gives you a perspective of how long I've been in that position. It's a tough position sometimes. I mean, I have to exercise judgment and make personnel decisions, and some of those decisions the employees didn't like in the past, but these decisions, weren't taken lightly, and at times are difficult. But as sheriff, you have to do the right thing for the community. I've always done that. I stand by those tough choices, and I have to make those despite the political backlash. So as we move through this campaign, I will always do everything I can to protect the rights and the safety of the citizens of this county, and I'll continue to do that. We've done a number of good things since we've been in office. Just recently, we have a couple of deputies working on the drug task force. That's important for me. I brought back the K-9 unit, Molly, and we've had some great results with that. In fact, we just caught two guys in one night a couple of nights ago with Molly. We've put some resources into search and rescue. We feel comfortable that's funded pretty well now. We started new partnerships in the schools, and one of the things that's important for me is to have our kids protected. So we have 2 deputies doing an outstanding job in the schools, and my goal is to keep them there. We've also added services in the outlying communities. We did some restructuring, and we actually have one more deputy. We have one less manager position and one more deputy position patrolling in the county as we speak. So from a couple of years ago, instead of having 3 supervisors, we have one right now, getting ready to fill another one, and we actually have that in the outlying community. So anyway, have I gone over on my time, or where are we at on
You're
that?
good.
Okay,
You're
yeah.
good. You're good. Wonderful. Okay.
I thought I negotiated 30 seconds. I was at a disadvantage.
Don't, and we're not going to lose Boyd on the phone
No,
here. Let's keep Boyd.
You're
Let's
staying.
keep him.
You're staying right here, Boyd.
Awesome. Okay, so this is excellent. So thank you, gentlemen, and thank you. I know the audio is clunky, but we're getting there. We're getting through it. Audience, thank you for sticking with us. I think what you've got a snapshot of seeing is 4 men who are honorable and who are qualified, and we've got some great opening statements. Let's move into the question part of our night. And so, Brent, do you want to ask the first question?
So what we want to know is, tell us about your vision for the Sheriff's Department, and give us a few of your goals that you want to accomplish as sheriff. And Bill, you're going to go first. And for some reason, if you did not hear that, be sure and let me know. So Bill, it's your vision and your goals for the Sheriff's Department.
And you got 2 minutes.
And you got 2 minutes.
Got vision and goals. One of the visions I have is to expand the drug task force and bring extend it to a multi-agency drug task force. And I want to do that for the citizens. I want to get more drug streets to make your children safer. I'm going to make the streets safer, and that'll in turn reduce crime, and your family, your children will be safer. And I want to focus on that. That's going to be a priority. I also want to immediately try to return stability to the sheriff's office. There's some obvious issues there, but they will be addressed, and I think I can bring that back. Those folks to me, and they know I can come back and help lead them. I want to make them better leaders, and that'll in turn give you, the citizens, good service. And I want to focus on the reserve program. I want to bring that back and make it comprehensive. I want those people to go out and serve you and provide you a quicker response with better, well-trained reserves. Have the education, and that'll reduce, if they have the training they need, they can basically do the same job as a full-time deputy. But that will assist you, and it will assist me. We can focus on larger issues like the drug issues. We have reserves helping out. I'm a former search and rescue member, so I will be involved with them, and that will in turn help you folks, whether it be a lost person or an injured person. They will also be able to assist me in crime scenes. They can help with logistics. They can help with with resources, lighting, perimeter control, things like that in case of a flood or a major crime. I want to really focus. One of my visions is to make sure that we're in patrolling the outlying areas and we're more visible, and we're in those smaller communities, whether they have a contract or not. The taxpayers deserve our attention, and not just in an election year. They need to see us out there all the time and interacting with us, hearing their concerns. I enjoyed doing that when I was a deputy, and I want to see that come back. It's very important. I can't obviously hear the ding or anything, but I can assure you that I'll uphold the Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment. That'll always be a priority. And
Good. Wonderful,
I have been
Bill.
doing that.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. Thank you. No, I appreciate you. And also, all right. Well, we're going to move on to the next person there, Boyd.
Yeah, but
You're with us?
yeah, go ahead and go to the next one. I got to get
Okay,
Boyd back
no
on
problem.
the horn.
Cody,
Yeah.
it looks like you're up. So tell us about your vision for the Sheriff's Department and give us a few of your goals that you will accomplish as our sheriff. And you've got 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things that Mr. Miller has to say. I definitely want to focus on our task force. I want to see more of a street crimes unit, if you will, and I definitely want to see other players involved in that. And that's gonna take some relationship work between LeGrand Police Department and OSP. They need to be involved, and they want to be involved. It's just everybody just needs to be at the table, and we'll get that figured out. And ultimately, you know, I'm coming with the ideas and the attitudes of there's a lot of things that we've been doing over the last many years as the sheriff's office, and there's a lot of things that I believe it hasn't always worked the best. I want to try some different things when it comes to just the drug task force, especially just out there arresting people and whatnot and being a consequence. Man, I really think we can do some good things if we focus on the preventative end of things. I want to have a sheriff's office that's out there in the community. I want to have deputies out there, and I want you to know that I want you to know them by name, first name. I want you to recognize them when you see them in the store, and that's going to start with more boots on the ground. We definitely need some more management structure, but boots on the ground, deputies out there. I want them at the community events. I want you to recognize them as a coach. I want you to recognize them as a parent, as part of the PTO, whatever that may be. I really want to focus on being heavily involved in our communities, whether it's LeGrand, Cove, Union, Elgin, North Powder, Starkey, Medical Springs. I want you to recognize us. And that really is going to start with just building better relationships and building those relationships with not only just our law enforcement entities, but the folks that we don't normally deal with on a daily basis. Getting out there and being seen and recognized is huge for me. I've seen it in the schools. I've seen how that program works, and just being available as your sheriff, being at the table, and
Thank you, Cody. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. No, excellent words. Appreciate that. All right. Hey, let's go over to, or do you want to do Shane? Let's do Shane.
Yeah.
All right, Shane. Next, you're up, my friend. So the question really has to do with tell us about your vision and some goals that you have for the Sheriff's Department. And you've got 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. Well, my vision, what I best want to do is first responders within the county, they all need to be brought together and get a great team building going on, because we're all in this together, especially the first responders. So we all need to trust each other and all need to know where we're coming from. And really, that's how you get things accomplished. So that's a big thing I really would like to do. Another thing, too, is I'd like to go through the budget, see where it can be streamlined. And then once I can figure that out and find out where we can kind of cut some of the fat off, then I want to go for whatever grants there are out there to grasp. Once I can get into those grants and bring in that money, then I'm going to be able to hire some more personnel. We need more deputies out into the communities out here in the valley, supporting these citizens who are paying taxes. And right now, there's a lot of them that are upset because they just don't see the deputies out there doing what they need and, helping, keep the crime down, basically. And if you get enough deputies out on there in the communities, you're going to have the communities, getting to know them, talking to them, which in turn is going to help them take care of a lot of this crime that's going on. And then from there, I want to bring in a lot more training separate from what they're used to getting, just something to give them an idea to think outside the box on how to tackle things differently so that we can actually clean up our valley. And then overall, I just want to bring back the trust of the people so that they know they can approach any one of the deputies out there, tell them what's going on, give us that information that we need so that we can secure our communities. And that is really the basics of what I want to do on my vision.
So let's move on. Thank you.
So
All
Boyd,
right. Are we ready? Yes, thank you, Chen, very much. I appreciate your vision, appreciate your goals. So we're going to move over to now to go to reconnect with Boyd. And again, thank you for your patience with us. So let's go on to Boyd.
so just hang tight real quick, Boyd. Let me.
Okay.
So the question is, tell us your vision about the sheriff's department. Now you've been sheriff, for 16 years. So it's you having a vision is not a new thing, but so tell us some of the goals and the things that you want to accomplish looking forward.
Well, I'll back up just a second and just talk about when I first took over. We had a lot of rebuilding to do in terms of equipment and deputies and training. We've gotten to a point now where all the deputies have quality equipment. They have quality training that we never had before. And if you talk to the deputies, I think they would say exactly that we train well, we expect good product, and it's effective office right now. If you look at it, we have deputies that are working cases together. They're communicating. I just thought of one out in the Embler area where there's a big burglary case. The deputies jumped on it. They communicated between folks. The landowner called me immediately. I called our drug task force. Those guys jump on cases. And I'll talk about the drug task force in a moment. But anyway, it was cool to watch that case come together. And we have quality deputies doing quality work. And so when people are talking about, hey, we need to do different things, like I heard a couple of candidates, I think it was Deputy Bowen that said something about we need more people on the drug task force. Well, hey, we have 2 deputies working the drug task force. I just talked to the city police just the other day and talked to them about coming back on the team. They don't have the ability to do that right now. These new candidates are talking about wanting to get more people on the team, and hey, so have I. I've been working with the state police for years. We have 13 state troopers or so, 13 state troopers out there, and my goal is to have, instead of 13 on the road, if that's roughly what they have, is to have 12 maybe, and have one of them working narcotics and working back with us. And so we have a larger team. I think that's what I think Deputy Bowen and I think Miller, I caught bits and pieces of what he was saying. He used to serve with us on that team at one time, and back when we had 3 people. And it was effective because if you have one person on vacation, then you can still run that team and keep it rolling. But I heard somebody talking about the deputies in the outlying communities. And right now we did some restructuring.
All right.
We actually have one more deputy
Boyd, thank you.
in the patrol.
Okay, that time's up, Boyd. And again, I want to remind, and to be fair, you didn't, they did refer to what the current task force, and you are an easy target because you're easy to see. But
sure.
That being said, I want all of us to, I want us to keep our comments not directed towards someone else, not rebutting what someone else said. I just want to talk about what the plans are. Okay, and it just so happens that you are first to answer this next question. So let's just keep rolling. Okay.
Okay.
So.
And hey, just so you know, I'm rolling your way.
Okay. Well,
I have my wife driving here, so I'm making sure she doesn't violate any laws.
You're going to be standing out in the hallway on the phone because you can't come on the set. Yeah. So.
Well, at least I can hear what the other folks are saying anyway.
You cannot. Yeah. Okay. So anyhow, the question is, tell us about your leader style, Boyd. Tell us, it's that simple. Tell us about your leadership style.
I would say that generally speaking, I'm pretty open. I have an open leadership style. I love to be able to get information and process that. And I have an open door policy, and a lot of military organizations don't necessarily like that. I do, because I want to know what's going on at all levels of my organization. And it's kind of a blend of the chain of command, but if something just isn't working, And we had a recent situation a couple of years ago that had to be dealt with. And the only way that was solved is to have that open door policy. And my deputies know, and my supervisors, that they can come and talk to me at any time, discuss an issue that's going on. If they can't solve it, then I will. And I remember a situation a while back where I had a couple of deputies that were, discussing some things, and they were talking to me. And so I just put them together. I said, hey, go solve the problem. And they did. And they worked a major case together shortly after that. So my goal is to unite people and make them work together and function, because at the end of the day, it's not about the individual deputy or the sheriff or a supervisor. It's about the people. And if we're not working together, then we're not providing a service. So I would say I'm very approachable. I think people in the office understand that they can come to me with an issue if they need to, or any of my supervisors. And my supervisor team right now is a superb team. They work well together. It's probably the best team we put together in 16 years. I think overall, in terms of the communication, the trust, and everything we have together. And I talked to them just the other day, and all of them one-on-one, and they said, hey, things are going great, boy. We love what you're doing. And so somebody referred to one time that wasn't the case, but I'm just here to tell you that that's a dynamite team, and I trust them wholeheartedly to manage and to lead. And the other thing we do is we've implemented a yearly leadership training, and we have deputies go to that yearly leadership training. It's a time we can get together, we can brainstorm, goal set, and think of new ways to conduct business. And that's been a great thing.
Time's up. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Boyd.
Thank you, Brent.
So, hey, Shane, you're next. Tell us about your leadership style.
Yes, sir. Well, I've definitely got a lot of leadership behind me due to the military and the training. And really the basics that I can go off of is I've never forgotten where I came from. No matter what positions I've ever gone into, I've always remembered what that individual is doing, or where he's at in his position in his career. And then ultimately, as a leader, I let those that I'm in charge of know that I'm there for them, not the other way around. There's a lot of leaders out there who think that the troops or whoever they're in charge of is there to provide, information or work for them, but that's not true at all. As a leader, you're there to support those you're in charge of, and that's who I am. I get very personal with the people I'm in charge of. I know how they are, their life, their styles, their family. That way I know what best suits them for where I need to put them into a position. I get right into the nitty-gritty, and I'm very approachable. And you can see a lot of the endorsements I have on my Facebook of personnel that I was in charge of, throwing glowing recommendations on there of who I was as a leader. So ultimately, it comes down to the main thing as a leader is ensuring you're supporting those you are in charge of, making sure they're getting out there and doing what they're supposed to, but at the same time, making sure that you do have a heavy hand when that time comes. So it's kind of that tough love sometimes, but ultimately, if you give them the right respect, you're going to get that respect in return, and they're going to do the best job for you.
Thank you, Shane. So, Cody, tell us about your leadership style.
There we go. Yeah. So over my career, here at Les Schwab, and then here in the sheriff's office, I've had the privilege to work under a lot of folks that were in leadership roles. I don't want to say leaders, but definitely folks in leadership roles for sure. From that, I've taken a multitude of different styles and rolled it into myself. Number one, you have to lead by example, and you have to be there with the guys. You have to show them that you're willing to do the worst job in the office. Show them you're willing to do that. Work side by side with them. And being a leader is not just the people that work for me. Being a leader is a role model in the community, a role model to my children. Being a good husband. A leader is so much more than just the guy in the head of the office with the badge on his chest. I can tell you that my style is I'm available. I'm approachable. I listen with the intent to hear, and I have an open mind. I haven't been in a leadership role in the sheriff's office, so I would like to think that I'm open to a lot of different things and a lot of different styles, and surrounding myself with good people is key to functionality in this, because I don't know everything, and I never will, and I'm definitely not perfect, but I can tell you as a leader, earning the respect of the people that are in your crew is crucial, and without that, I can tell you with that, they'll fight to the bitter end for you, and I can tell them, anybody that's listening that is somebody that I might lead in the future is we're going to do things together, and I'll make you proud as a leader, and I'll do the right thing no matter what.
Right on. Thank you, Cody. Thank you for your words. The last candidate for this question is Bill.
All right.
So Bill, I'm hoping you're there and you heard the question. The question was, talk about your leadership style.
Servant leadership style is basically servant leadership. There has to be structure, there has to be accountability, but at the same time, you know, you want to teach and make them better leaders. This provides the community with the service they deserve. They're being trained. Hopefully I make these folks that I'm going to supervise better leaders, and when I'm gone, this place will be whole. It will be better. It will be better than what I am. We want to progress. We want to move forward. I don't have a problem talking with people in the office, you know, be an open door, but we also have to have structure. Without that, it loses continuity and accountability. So I think that line of communication works the best in any law enforcement agency. You'll see that structure, and most agencies demand that structure. My goal and my leadership style is one of fairness and firmness. If I have a problem or an issue with an individual, I will always try to solve it at the lowest level and make it a teaching moment, something that they can learn from. And I think that's very important. I mean, as a leader, I also serve the citizens. And I can tell you that's been my goal from the get-go was when I was in a leadership position early on, even before I was promoted sergeant, I led by example through hard work, through my integrity, through my work product. And I tried to pass that on to the folks that I worked with at the time. As a leader, same thing. It doesn't change. You just want to move forward and get better. That's the whole idea. That will in turn provide good, sound deputies and give the citizens what they need to make their streets safer, their homes safer, and their families safer. I encourage training. I emphasize training, and I will be involved with them with that. Same with like search and rescue. But as far as my leadership style, it's firm and fair. I enjoy making things a teaching moment.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your words of wisdom. Okay, so we're going to go into the next question. So here's what we're going to do. Now we're going to not throw a curveball at you, but because of our time restraints, we were hoping that you're going to be flexible enough to answer these next questions in about a minute. And so I know we're asking a lot with this. And thank you. I know that's not something you planned on, but here's what we want to do. Again, for the sake of time, the next set of questions are about a minute to answer. So let's go ahead. And here's the next question. We're going to start with Shane. Talk about some of your mentors and sources that you go to for help and inspiration. So let me repeat the question. You got 1 minute to answer. Talk about some of your mentors and sources you go to for help and inspiration. So Shane, you are up.
Well, it's very simple. It has to be with everybody I've worked with throughout my career in the military. I've worked underneath some very great men, really in our history. Between my platoon commanders that I've had, the platoon sergeants, to even generals I've worked for that are very intelligent, have very clear thoughts on how things need to be done. And I've always gone back to a lot of their teachings throughout my career, and I've always taken a little piece of what they had that I thought was great, and I use that for myself. And I continually grow every single day. And it's not just merely just from the people in the military. There's just general, just normal people in everyday life that I see what they do and I see what works and I see what's proven to them and what people like, and I'll take it on. And I'm constantly morphing, I'm constantly changing to ensure that I can provide the best leadership. And again, that's just from, many of the people I've worked with or deal with daily.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Shane. All right, let's take this same question to Cody. So Cody, the question is, talk about some of your mentors and sources you go to for help and inspiration.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with inspiration. Inspiration to me is our children, and I'm blessed to get to go work with them every single day. I am truly inspired by the youth of our community, and the potential that we have is amazing to me. The kids that we have, the ideas that we have, the work ethic, and some of these kids, man, it's truly inspiring, and that's probably the best word to describe it. And man, it gives me reason, and it gives me hope for where we're at, and it motivates me to want to make this place a better place and be there for them and be a role model for them. Man, my second source of inspiration behind that, I should have been first, but my wife, man, I tell you, without her, the woman is a godsend, and she is my rock. And a little teary-eyed just talking about it, but man, there's some folks that I can't compare her to. She's number one in my life. There's been some folks, Chief Harvey, the man's retiring this year, but he has been, I go to that man for everything.
Right on.
That man has the most integrity. Okay. All right.
Yes, no, and thank you. And we're so sorry to interrupt. So let's go over to Bill. Bill, talk about some of your mentors and sources you go to for help and inspiration.
That's pretty easy. Sheriff Steve Oliver, he hired me quite a few years ago, over 20 years ago. And he's always been a mentor for me. It's important to have someone that has the experience and the wisdom. As Cody said, Chief Brian Harvey, there's a great man right there. I mean, he's wise, he's thoughtful and experienced. Folks like Tim Thompson. Yeah, and I also get inspiration from those folks because I aspire to be leaders like they were or are. They're all retired now, but it's important that you listen. I mean, I'm 53 years old, but I'm not too old to learn. The day I do that, then I need to hang it up because we always want to move forward, and we want to move forward with the citizens. So I will continue to reach out to folks like that, people I admire and trust, and give me and inspire me. And there's a ton of them I could name. Scott Frank, retired sergeant, Lieutenant Derek Reddington, always gave me great advice, and I aspired to be like them because I know they serve the citizens. They had the citizens' heart in mind and their needs in mind, and that's what I want to do.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. Perfect timing. Okay, let's go to Boyd. Boyd's on the phone. Boyd, thank you for again driving in. So here's the question for you. You've got 1 minute to answer it. Talk about some of your mentors and sources you go to for help and inspiration.
Well, yeah, that could be a long list, but if you start, I have a lot of family, and I trust my father's judgment, my mother and my mother and father-in-law. I've talked to them several times about issues. My family, my wife is somebody that I feel comfortable with, has good common sense. In terms of law enforcement folks, Captain Ward just retired today, and he's been a long-term employee for the sheriff's office. I visit with him on a number of occasions, a number of issues. Chief Harvey from the Grand Police Department, he just retired. He's somebody I trust wholeheartedly, and actually he came in a number of years ago to the agency, and I supported that. And he's just been a tremendous mentor. But I have some folks, three folks in church that I trust and go to for advice once in a while. And so, yeah, it's a broad range. I think you can't just go to advice with one person. And that's when I get information and have a challenge, I like to get a viewpoint from a lot of different people. And I think that's one thing that I've done as sheriff over the years is listen to a lot of different people, take that information in and make good decisions.
Wonderful. Boyd, thank you. Boyd, thank you so much, Boyd. Your minute's up, and I would love to hear more, but thank you very much. Okay. Right on. Good. Okay, stay on the line if you would, please. All right, so we're going to go to the next question, Brant.
So we want to, there's, sorry, pause here a little bit. I would say that in any sheriff's department, in any business, there's always needs.
Always.
Always needs.
Always.
And I mean, you could always hire more people. You can all, I mean, everybody, you know, but clearly we could always hire more firemen.
Mm-hmm.
We could hire, I mean, you know, so, but it's not always possible. But given all of the things that are going on, what are some of the, and this is a really important question. And we really probably need 2 minutes for this question, I think.
Let's do 2 because it's pretty pressing.
Yeah.
Issues. Yeah.
So, but what is the greatest, what are the greatest issues of law enforcement in Union County, and how is your plan to tackle them? And again, we don't need to talk about, I just want you to talk about the relevant issues. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the, what are the things that we need to tackle that are out there? What are you guys hearing the most? And so Cody, you're going to be first. Talk to us about this issue.
Okay. Thanks for the 2 minutes, because you're right. That's not nearly enough time. And the biggest thing that I see is our mental health. Mental health is the root of the majority of, you know, whether it's addiction, whether it's homelessness, whether it's stuff that's going on that we don't know about, that we won't ever know about. Our mental health on a local level, statewide, national, is in a crisis. And nothing it pulls at my heartstrings more than when I have a child in our community suffering from mental health, and there's nothing that we can do. There's no beds available. Sometimes there's no counselors available. There's no crisis worker. And that's not anybody's fault. What that is just we have a shortage of trained professionals. We have a shortage of facilities. We have a shortage of funding. But I really want to focus on our local mental health, because that's probably the biggest struggle that I see. And not only the biggest struggle, but it's the most frustrating one, because like I said, we just don't have the resources or the people to handle it, and we don't have the answers. And if I were to address one thing, if I were to walk away from this career and feel like I've done something, mental health amongst our youth starts a path. If they don't have answers and they don't have resolution and they don't know how to manage their mental health, and they can't get the services and they can't get the people that understand what's going on with them, and they can't get the officer that gets involved in the situation and doesn't know this young man or his history, and we're not doing anybody any service, and we're sure not fixing the problem. In fact, we're creating more problems, and then therefore we're going to have to instill more consequences for stuff that we don't understand. Mental health is huge, and I want to do everything I can to bring awareness to our community and bring some resolutions to some situations and some answers to some folks. I think that will.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody.
Yeah.
So, Bill, what are the greatest issues in Union County that we need to deal with? And it could be that we'll have to come back. We'll have to come back to Bill. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so Boyd, here, let me get you on the speaker. If I can.
Well, let's go to Shane.
Okay.
Here,
Thank you.
We'll get Boyd up. Shane, so talk about the greatest issues, in your opinion, that law enforcement in Union County faces, and how do you plan to tackle those?
Well, definitely, I would have to agree with Cody. He is absolutely right in that. But on another note, I think a lot of what people would like to see or hear is that they're safe, plain and simple. We've got a lot of things coming down, especially from our government, who's trying to infringe upon our rights, especially our Second Amendment. So I think the people, especially in our county, need to know that they are safe, and their rights underneath the Constitution are completely safe, and that somebody's going to be there to shield away anybody that tries to come in here and take those rights away. And I can assure you, I've sworn an oath a long time ago, and I will do everything within my power to protect those rights underneath the Constitution so the people can feel secure and feel free, because that is what America is about. I mean, ultimately, and the best way to do that is just listen to the people, ensure to them and tell them and keep them informed of what's going on so they can stay safe and feel safe. Ultimately, I mean, I think that's bottom line right there, is just ensuring people can feel safe and know and be ensured that they are safe.
So, Bill, can you hear me now? What do you think? What are the greatest challenges that we have for Union County, and how do you think we should deal with those?
Definitely the drug problem. I mean, there's a lot of issues, but the drug problem is glaring. That's something that people are telling me all the time. It did so. I mean, I worked on the drug task force for, Lord, 8-10 years as a detective, and then a detective sergeant. I supervised it, so I'm well versed in dealing with those issues. That's why I will expand the drug task force and take drugs off the streets. There's so many ramifications to this problem. It creates crime. It creates heartache. It creates property crimes, personal crimes, overdose deaths, medical problems. I mean, it's a small subject, just the sound of it or the words, but it's a huge problem. There's so many ramifications, and it affects everyone. We all know someone, and I want to take drugs off the street, and I can do that. I've got the experience to do that, and I want to focus on that. I'm not giving up on it, and I want to move forward to help the citizens and I want them to understand that I'm going to be in your corner, and I'm going to make that a priority, one way or the other. I would say that the effects that drugs have on our community, we hear and see every day, and the role I'm in now in parole and probation, I see the effects of it. I see the end result of people that have been long-term users, or even young people that are just getting started and they're now in the justice system. I've learned I've had some insight with their struggles. I want to help fix them, help make them better so they can go back in society and be productive and good citizens. So that is a huge issue for me, and I'm not going to give up on that. Did you hear all that?
I did.
Yes,
we got all
we got
that. Yeah.
Got it all. Thank you, Bill.
So Boyd, what do you think are the greatest needs? Can you hear me okay? Boyd, are you there?
I'm here, Brett.
Okay. So what are the greatest issues that we face that we need to tackle still in Union County? What are the challenges you see out there?
Well, I think most problems, a lot of them stem from drug use, and so that's why it's important to have drug enforcement, and that's why I have 2 deputies working on the drug task force team right now. So I think you have to have a pulse of the community, and when you have somebody in plain clothes, they're able to kind of monitor crime and detect crime and solve crimes better from that standpoint. So that's why I've always had that team up and going. I think it's a priority, even though other partners aren't able to jump on the team right now. We've kept that going, and we've had a lot of results from that. So narcotics enforcement, the other thing I think is that, we've got to work on our mental health issues a little bit. I think that they shut down some facilities in the state, and so it pushes them back into the counties. And so at our Sheriff's Association meetings, that's always a discussion of how we can get more bed capacity and more response. One of the things I did probably about 3 or 4 years ago was worked with a company on some training, on some crisis response training for the deputies. And there were 3 counties in the state that did a 3-day training, because the eastern sides of the states and the rural areas can't give up 5 days for a training. It's not possible. And so we designed a 3-day program. We had it here, down in Lynn County, and I think in Tillamook County. The sheriffs in those counties really liked it too. And so when they came here, they started here. We were the first county in the state to do that model, a shrunk down version of that. And the deputies loved it. We sent several deputies through that. And what that does is it allows them to be able to respond to those situations and know how to handle them. And shortly after we had that, one of the deputies said, "Hey, I learned some stuff there that really helped the situation." One of the best classes they've ever taken. And so I would say that. The third thing I would say is jail capacity issues. Right now our jail is pretty small, and we've reduced capacity a little bit because of the COVID, of course. And there's reasoning behind that. But I would say this community long-term needs to look at our jail capacity issues, because when folks go to jail, I think they get right back out. It perpetuates more crime. And we've seen that in past numbers is our rearrest offense rate here in this county is one of the highest in the state, if not the highest, meaning that they're on trial for one case, they get kicked out of jail, and then they
All right.
have another crime
Okay.
prior to
Good.
the other
Thank
one.
you, Boyd. Thank you
Time's
very
up.
much.
Thank you, Boyd.
Thank you,
You bet.
Boyd.
All right. Well, hey, it's I know that there's a lot of people viewing, and I really appreciate it. And you got to know, I hate the technical problems that we've had tonight. I'm just glad that we're able to find a way that we can communicate. And we some of the viewers that we've Paul Andrews and Tucker Billman and Tom Insko and Ashley O'Toole, Jeff Cruz. Hey, Jeff Cruz from EONI. He spent some time in the studio recently helping us with the bandwidth, and we really appreciate that. So, hey, we're going to take a break, and we really appreciate our sponsors that are helping with this, and we'll be back in just a minute.
We'll be right back.
Hey, Johnny Ballgame here. What's going on? You're not going to hire a basketball coach to fix your house up. You're not going to hire a gardener to operate on your hands. So why would you hire anybody but a solid professional when it comes to audio and visual production? You wouldn't. You're going to hire Brent Clapp. Brent Clapp Productions has a gorgeous studio, 4th Street in downtown LeGrand. I sign off on this 1,000%. I broadcast my show here every day. It's not some guy in the back room, although he once was. Brent has a qualified track record and a proven history in this business. Whatever production needs you may have are taken care of by pros, professionals. And not to mention, they're a Travel Oregon award-winning company. Yeah, stuff that they've produced has went on to win big-time media awards throughout the state. You don't have to go to the other side of the state. You don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to call a basketball coach. No. So listen to Ball Game. Brent Clapp Productions. It's where you need to be.
Med Transport Inc. is a dedicated ground interfacility advanced life support ambulance service. We provide hospital to higher level of care transports. We serve all of Eastern Oregon with transport to hospitals throughout the Northwest. We take patients from emergency rooms, ICUs, and med surgery floors to higher level of care and specialty care facilities. Our service reduces the cost on taxpayers, patients, and insurance companies by providing additional transportation options. We also free up tax-based, local, and air first response resources for on-scene and critical care needs. Request Med Transport for your interfacility transport because you have locally owned transport options.
Hey, welcome
Right on.
back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Okay. So good commercials going on there. Now, Johnny Ballgame's a crack up. That guy is the way he is all the time. But Med Transport, we're going to talk about Med Transport. I worked with those guys when I was with the Chamber of Commerce. And I got to tell you, top quality equipment, amazing people, caring people. What are your thoughts on Med Transport?
Well, they specialize in ground non-emergent transport. So interfacility. So if you need to be transferred between, one facility and another, they do a lot of business with Grand Rana Hospital. And, you'd be surprised the number of people that are put on life flight and it's not that type of an emergency.
Right.
And the cost can be 10%. I mean, literally 10% to have Med Transport do it versus a life flight. And so it's just a huge benefit. So.
Well, we're blessed to have them here in our area. So be sure to check out Med Transport. Great people, awesome company. So, hey, let's move on. Let's get to our next question. And it looks like the question we have is our remote areas and outlying cities can be a challenge to respond to calls for law enforcement, especially in a timely manner. No harm, no foul there. But what we're curious about is from our candidates, talk about the plans to respond to the calls and to give the appropriate coverage for our outlying areas and remote cities. So again, looking at our outlying areas, remote cities, getting out there in time can be a challenge. And so we were asking the candidates to think about that and talk about what are their plans as they go to tackle this issue around making sure that our smaller cities and outlying areas, remote areas, get the coverage and response times on the calls that they deserve. So it looks like we've got Cody up first. So Cody.
This is a 1 minute answer.
Yeah, this is a 1 minute answer. Thank you. 1 minute answer for the sake of time.
1 minute. All right, you guys are killing me here. Okay, we need to buy the guys faster cars. Bottom line, that's it. No, I'm just kidding. So we need to establish better relationships with our outlying towns. Bottom line, from our council members to our residents, we need to be in touch with what they need and what they're requesting. The days are gone where we show up and say, this is the program, this is what it's going to cost you, and take it or leave it, because that we've bounced back and forth with contracts. We've had them, we've lost them. People have been getting along, people haven't been getting along. Guys, we need to put some egos aside. We need to all join together, sit down at the table and say, what do we need? This is how we can get it. It's going to start with more money. It's going to start with us helping out just as much as the outer towns helping out, discovering grants, finding stuff. There's so many grant opportunities that we're missing. And we just have to establish the relationship, the willingness to listen to one another. And we can provide a service as long as everybody gets on the same page. We can do this together, and we will find the money.
Yeah, thank you. Cody, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to Bill next. Bill, we're asking the question around how we can improve response times to the remote cities and remote areas and ensure that those places get the coverage that they deserve. So Bill, take it away. You've got 1 minute.
I touched on this earlier. Patrolling the outlying areas and communities, we have to be there. And that's my job to make sure that gets done when I'm elected. And one thing I will make an emphasis on with the deputies is, if we're in North Powder, say, and there's a call in the Grand, and people need backup or whatever, we respond to that. As soon as that issue is over, we need to return back to those areas instead of loitering or hanging out. We can't respond faster if we're not there. So it's just to focus on getting them back there, and also educating the public when we do interact with them. Let them know that, hey, we're here, but sometimes we get called away, so they understand. But we need to make the concerted effort for the citizens so we can protect them to be there. And I did it when I was a deputy, and I want to see that again. And it's simply a matter of being there, so our response times are faster, and then also interacting. But we have to be there. We can look at contracts and all that kind of stuff, and that's great, but that takes money. And I'm willing to do that if somebody wants to.
Bill, thank you very much. Bill, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to go to Boyd now. Boyd, I don't know if you heard the question. It has to do with.
Was it something about the outlying? How do we get services?
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
To outlying areas?
Correct. Yes, you've got 1 minute.
Okay. Well, I think the best model for that is City of Elgin. When they have a contract out there, the deputies are closer to the community and can respond quickly. So Elgin's taken care of. We have a contract in Island City. Out in Union, we've done some good things out there. Doug Wiggins out there and the city council, we're working with them to get a contract potentially in the future for a grant to fulfill the deputy sheriff out there. And so we're working on that. The other great thing we've done is recently we had a deputy out in the schools in Cove, Union, and North Powder. And what that's done is, since he's out there rotating between those schools, he's closer to the response time. So he might be in the schools, but if we have an emergency, they can get to the people immediately. In fact, I remember a recent incident that Deputy Humphreys got committed on, is there was a CPR in progress, and he was in the school, and he actually got there before the ambulance did, and started that process. And so the citizens were very pleased with that. And so that's an example of when you have a contract or you have deputies close to the citizens, when an emergency happens, then they can get there quicker and deliver the service that needs to be delivered. So we're just really excited about that. The other thing I've done is we had a manager position a couple of years ago that actually evolved into a deputy sheriff position. So we have a deputy, one of our newest deputies.
Okay, Boyd, I'm so sorry. So sorry to interrupt, Boyd. Hey, you nailed it. Thank you. That minute goes fast, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Thank you. Hey, let's go to Shane. You've got 1 minute. We're talking about how we provide service and coverage for the remote areas and remote towns. Excuse me.
Okay, just like I said before, I'd look into the budget and see where we can cut the fat. And a lot of people say, well, there's no place to cut. But I came from the Marine Corps, which is the lowest funded military branch in any other branches. And we learned from the get-go how to do more with less. So I can assure you there's somewhere to cut. The other thing, too, is focus on where we can get grants in here. The more grants we can get, the more deputies we can hire. Once we get more deputies hired, we can get them positioned out there in those outlying cities and towns that are needing these protection. The other thing too is working with the other first responders and doing a rotational schedule so we know where each other are, so we're covering each other and getting each other's back. I mean, there's a few things that need to be worked out, and really bottom line comes down is you need more personnel, you need more money, but it can't come from the taxpayers. They're already paying into the county taxes. So therefore we got to look where we can get the money elsewhere, and that's going to be grants, plain and simple.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Shane. So let's do this. We're going to take a quick break and allow our viewers to get something to drink, something to eat. We'll come right back. So
No. These are our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We need you to see this.
No,
yeah,
what
this is my commercial
they
coming
pay the
up.
bills.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
We'll be right back in a minute.
Enjoy the break.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care. I ever get back, so let's read. Root.
Johnny Marvel what's he gonna bite into
That
here?
looks a lot like the thing that put Bond MIA.
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The Johnny Ball Game Show.
Welcome back. Okay, we're back with the Union County Sheriff's Forum. I just want to say, Brent, thank you for providing the facilities, the technology. And yes, there were some glitches, but you know what? Welcome to the real world. But I really want to say this to our viewers. You know, a lot of smaller areas do not have the luxury to have a production company like this, where we can live stream, we can get information out, we get to the community quickly. And that's one of the challenges in rural areas, is getting information and communicating it quickly. And Brent, you've really helped us do that. So thank you. And thank you to Brent Clapp Productions for all that you do for our area.
Well, thank you. And there's a huge difference. A lot of people, they might not understand this. The commercial that you just saw, we spent a lot of time on, had time to produce it. That's this live thing is a whole different ballgame. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so anyhow.
Okay. So with that said, let's get on. We've got a few more questions to go through. So again, we're asking our candidates these questions, giving them some time to answer. And so here's what we're going to do. The next question has to do, it's a little bit of a lengthy question. So let me pound through this. Typically, the role of the county sheriff is law enforcement. At least that's how it's perceived. Some agencies across the nation have talked about crime prevention along with enforcement. So with Union County and the domestic violence issues, sexual assault issues, and those rates rising, what ideas do you have that can promote crime prevention as well as enforcement? So with that said, let's go ahead.
Shane first.
Okay, we'll go to Shane first. Thank you. So Shane, did you get the question?
I believe so. You're looking at how to prevent a lot of these crimes that are going on within our city, such as the child abuse, the domestic violence, and so on and so forth. Is that correct? Well, basically, it comes down to, again, it's going to come down to manpower. It's going to come down to training too. The more training you can get in there and offer from all facets of the world, or really different agencies, it's going to make it easier to be able to handle and tackle a lot of these crimes that are going on. The other thing too is consistency, staying on top of these, doing reports, and ensuring you do a lot of the follow-ups. It's going to take a lot of man hours and a lot of, well, again, consistency to do this. So ultimately, it just comes down to staying on top of things and, getting the training and ensuring that everybody's aware of what needs to be done to tackle these issues at hand and the calls that are coming through.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Shane. Perfect. Okay, so do we have Boyd? Is Boyd?
We're not quite there, but go do Cody.
Okay, so Cody, we'll go to you.
All right, we'll go to Cody. So, I keep reverting back to the things that I've seen in this profession and the tried things that we've done. And guys, I keep coming back that we have to focus on our youth. We have to focus on teaching kids how to be parents. We as adults, we as males, we have strong females. Well, you as strong females, not me as strong females. We need to be good role models. We need to teach our children how to be respectful of one another. And law enforcement can be a huge role in that. We can be the preventative thing. We can be the structure. We don't always have to be the consequence. Do we need more jail space? Yeah, but honestly, let's look at something else, because we keep beating our head against the wall, and yet we still ask ourselves, well, why do we still have all these drugs? Why do we have this going on? I want to take a different approach and focus on the preventative end of things, build those relationships, be good role models, and all of our officers can do that, and they do that. I just want to do a little bit more. I want to be a little bit more available and provide some structure right from the get-go and teach folks, get back to where we used to be, to the loving one another, respecting one another, and a general care for one another. And we can do that together. We can do that as law enforcement. We can do it as citizens, starting with our children. We can fix that problem. Instead of offering more consequences, let's get to the root of the problem and address that.
Thank you, Cody.
Yeah, thank you, Cody. Okay, so I think we've got Boyd ready.
Yeah, I think so. On video again.
Perfect. Okay, so Boyd, I'm so sorry. I know you did not get the question. So here's the question. What we're asking is, typically the role of the county sheriff is law enforcement. Some agencies across the nation have talked more about crime prevention. With Union County domestic violence and sexual assault rates rising, what ideas do you have that could promote crime prevention as well as enforcement? And you've got 2 minutes.
I think he's still muted. He's muted on his end.
Hold the phone up, they can't hear.
His microphone.
His mic's muted.
His mic is plugged into the computer.
Yeah, but it's
Let's go to Bill. That's all right. Things are hanging in there. Boyd, we're going to come back to you. Bill, we're going to ask you the same question. I hope you heard it. If you did not, I'm happy to repeat it. So Bill, let's go to you.
I think I heard most of it. Crime prevention versus enforcement, along those lines. First thing is we need to be reactive, proactive instead of reactive, as law enforcement officers. But the other thing I want to focus on is educating the public. Don't put those gun stickers in your back window that makes you a target. Learn how to protect yourselves. We can educate the public along the way. We can have classes for that. We can provide the citizens with that. Also, there's a theory out there called the broken window theory that, if we don't address the smaller issues at a ground level, they can become bigger issues. So being aggressive and taking care of the small things and the small issues that the citizens are facing, they're being victimized of, we need to address those as well. We can't just ignore them because they become bigger issues. That is very important. The other thing since I've been in parole and probation, I've learned that, I would like to get programming back in the jail. And so when they're in jail, we can have a solid mentorship program to teach these folks and show them how to change behavior through classes, through cognitive behavioral therapy, moral recognition therapy, those kind of things that literally changes the way they think to change their criminal thinking. And that will in turn benefit the citizens. Those things are important and they work. So being proactive, taking care of the little things just like we would other things, and it's very important. And then also addressing the changing the attitude and the mindset of those that are involved in the system, I think is crucial. So that would be a crime prevention thing that I would those things I would stress. And we can educate the public with. I think I lost you. Did I lose you?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We heard you. That was good. Again, thank you for your comments on crime prevention as well as enforcement. So I believe we do have Boyd ready to go. So Boyd, I'm happy to repeat the question if you would like me to, unless you heard it.
Let's see if we can hear. There we go.
I can't. Can you hear me now?
We can. Yes.
Yes.
Hey, it says I'm in the show, so let's do this thing. I've been in like several locations. So what's the question again now? This is the domestic violence question.
Crime prevention.
Sure.
Crime prevention with regard to domestic violence.
No, what we're asking, Boyd, and I'm so sorry. So here's a question so you can hear it. Typically, the Sheriff's Department or law enforcement focuses on law enforcement. But there is a movement across the nation that deals more with prevention, crime prevention, and balances that with law enforcement. And so talk about your thoughts around how you will balance the concept of crime prevention as well as crime enforcement. And you've got 2 minutes.
Okay. Yes, I think the key to that is to have nice, good training with regard to domestic violence. We have a domestic violence deputy that goes to a lot of those trainings. And what we do when they come back, we try to have them provide some of that training back to the local deputies so they can have some of the latest trainings. And so, yeah, we work a lot with the Shelter from the Storm, and Deputy Sutton actually is the one that's assigned to the Shelter from the Storm. Does fantastic work. 1 day a week, he's a detective, and that's what he focuses on is domestic violence issues and follow up on cases to make sure that the cases are coming through properly. As far as the crime prevention, that's a little bit in the arena of parole and probation. And so I think there's some good programs going on over there. Parole and Probation Department can help try to do some prevention of domestic violence issues with regard to their clientele. Some of those are repeat offenders. And so to try to lessen the impact on the amounts of crime that happen is done on that avenue. As far as the deputies go, one of the things I like to see them is to be interactive with the students or with the kids and with the public, and how to prevent and help with those issues. I think the deputies need to be approachable. I like the idea of having our deputies interact with the citizens and get out of their cars. And we've seen a lot of that. One of the things I've done is hire a lot of deputies that interact well with the citizens. And I get a lot of compliments about how they interact. So when you're trying to prevent crime and those types of things, the deputies need to be approachable. And when they're approachable, problems can be solved prior to them come to fruition. When you have deputies in the schools, for instance, if they're having troubles at home, they can approach the deputy that's in the school and maybe try to handle a situation before it becomes a bigger issue. And so having deputies in the schools is a great thing in terms of crime prevention in any area of crime. So I think I'm probably done on time. Unless you want to give me more time, I'm good, you know.
Thank you, Boyd.
More time? Come on. Give me more time. I've been traveling all over the place.
So here's what we're going to do. We are headed to our final break for the night. And then we're going to, when we come back from the break, we're going to do a quick couple online questions. And then we're going to wrap up with closing statements and then a couple announcements. And so thank you. Let's go ahead and go to our third and final break.
I think that having a lending institution in any town is the backbone, is the heartbeat of it. So I think the entire community was extremely excited to see a lending institution back in Union. We actually used to be a cow-calf operation. We had 300 head of Black Angus pairs, and we actually sold the cattle operation in order to invest more heavily in the dairy. And so living in Northeast Oregon, that is not a typical move to make, to sell cattle and invest in goats. Hanley Kennedy actually reached out to us a couple years before we even had the graphic design in place to do this. He knew that we were starting. We started a very small model behind our house, so using the old 1910 barn that I had in place. We were the first grade A dairy back in Union County in 30 years. Because of the relationship that we had established, and because I think that Old West is very relationship driven, they want to be part of the community, they want to know the story of everyone who has an account there. And I think that because of that, he had trust and confidence in us. But I will tell you, as an outsider looking in, there was a lot of community that was like, Rovies are doing what? From the get-go though, Old West was supportive. They were absolutely involved. They periodically checked in during the construction process, during every phase of it, just to check in and see where we were at. And never once did they ever act like we were crazy. We are right where we want to be. We are right on target. We are right on projection. We're currently milking 500 milking does. This barn at capacity will hold 1,000 to 1,200 milking does. We are steadily working our way there.
Hey, thanks for coming back to the Union County Sheriff's Forum, and thank you for our main sponsor, Old West. Yeah.
Old West Federal Credit Union.
Yeah, and that's a great story.
It is a great story. Stephanie Rovey is an inspiration to all of us. And I don't know if you saw that goat, that last picture, that face. Who could not love a face like that?
That's right.
But no, we just want to
but
really
the bigger story, though, is you guys, Old West having a bank where there was no bank, and I shot that footage for that particular story. And one of the things I had never thought about is how complicated it is to make a deposit if you don't have a bank.
Right.
I mean, if you're a business and you're, So
anyhow,
you're
right. Well, and I will say one last thing about that is it's an honor to be in the town of Union, where banks and other credit unions are not building brick and mortar buildings. I'm very impressed to serve at a credit union like Old West and work for my CEO, who has a big heart. Ken Olson's got a big heart for the rural markets.
Yeah.
And so, but to work with Stephanie is just a privilege, absolute privilege. So I think moving on, I think we've got some online questions. Thank you for viewing tonight and tuning in. And we're getting a lot of good responses. So thank you. And so Brent, talk to us, give us some questions.
So Crystal McDermott asked, this is, again, we'll do a round of questions for each of the candidates. This is hard. What do we do to control drugs, and how do we help drug abusers?
Yeah.
And I think the question is, how do we help them other than just put them in jail?
Right.
So,
it's a good question.
that is a tough question. Great Shane, unfortunately, you were the one that has to handle that right out of the gate. So give us your thoughts on that, will you?
1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Well, that's a very difficult question, because really on the law enforcement side, the only thing we have in our tools at our disposal is to apprehend them and take them into custody and then find out where they did wrong or where they might be continuing to go on through their life. Now, obviously, we look at a lot of counselors to help out and some programs, or even some hospitals or medical programs to get into detoxify them. But unfortunately, the sheriff's department can't really handle all of that on the outside. So really, it just comes down to us is just taking them in, capturing them, and hoping, if we stay consistent on these individuals who are constantly doing the same crime over and over and over. I mean, it's a hard one to really answer, because it is such a big problem, and how it's, continually going on and on and on. So as law enforcement, hands are really kind of tied when it comes to that, but the best you can do is just stay consistent and stay on top of it.
Thank you. Cody, you're next. Did you hear the question? Do you understand it?
I believe so. Yeah. I've been beating this drum all night, but I'm probably going to hear about it when I get home. But you got to focus on the kids. We have to fix this criminal behavior. We have to fix the mentality that the normal that our children see in some of the home lives or some of their friends' home. That normal is not acceptable. The drug use is not acceptable. The habitual habits, the addiction, it's not okay, and it's not normal. And truly, I believe that it comes with education. We have to give our youth and our teenagers and some of our adults, we have to give them the tools with the ability to make choices and understand the consequences. And the more that we go and the more that we're on, I see this normalization. I see that, the lack of the criminal from the meth to the marijuana to whatever that is. We have to establish as a community that what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And then not only that, we have to give them the tools to recognize when that situation's at hand. What do I do? Where do I go? We teach a lot of that in DARE to our 5th grade classes. It starts with choices and the consequences and understanding that. And then here you go. Here's the tools. Here's the power. Now you have that education. You have that. You can make the better choice. And you're going to need help. You're going to need help along the way.
Cody, thank you very, very much. Thank you. Great question or great answer. Hey, let's go to Bill. I believe Bill's up next. Bill?
I'll give it a shot. So I think the question was what to do with drugs and drug dealing, those kind of things, and then what are options other than jail? Well, unfortunately, we have to deal with those consequences, and sometimes people get arrested. But we can also, as we're dealing with these people as officers, we can mentor them on the spot and try to talk to them, mentor them. Beyond that, I touched on it earlier, and that is having good programs available for these folks when they are in jail, so we can change their behavior. If you partner with good folks like PCHD and get them the help they need with treatment and mentorships and behavioral therapy, those kind of things, and show them the light. Try to break the cycle. That's a big part of it, and that's something I'm focusing on right now, and I think it's very important. Since I've joined parole and probation, it's opened my eyes. It's not just lock them up and throw away the key. It's make them accountable, but try to help them and give them a step forward, give them an opportunity to change. And
Bill, thank you. Thank you very much, Bill. And I know it feels awkward to stop. So as a talker,
and it's awkward for us to go, okay, that's it.
Stop. Yeah. So anyway, thank you. So let's go ahead and go to Boyd. Boyd, what are your thoughts on that online question?
Yeah, I think that when you talk about drug addictions and how do we prevent that and taking up our jail beds, I think you have to look younger. The youth area, one of the things we've done a number of years, ever since I took over as sheriff, the DARE program has been an important program. I taught that for a number of years. We have deputies in the schools teaching DARE, connecting with deputies and trying to prevent a lot of this. And so I think that's key. You start at the youth. And then when you get into the adult area, I think you need to work in the jails. Parole and probation does some work outside the jail. We started a mentor program a number of years back and on a grant and had some very good success with that. What we do is we have a fellow that comes in from the outside and connects with these people. And then the idea is to get on the inside, get a game plan of how to fix the problems. And then when they get on the outside, they have a 24/7 contact line with him. And it was interesting to see that those people actually went to jail less when they were connecting with him. And so there was less repeat offenses under this mentor program. And I love watching that work. And I remember initially in the program, we talked to a few of the people because I wanted to see what was going on there. And this fellow that we had working for us just actually cared about people. And when we asked him what's the deal with that program, they told us they just care about people.
Thank you very much. Again, it's hard to tell these wonderful men. Okay, gotta go.
Yeah, and trust me, there's been a few minutes like, this is
awkward. I'm going to tell you.
These are law enforcement people that I'm telling.
It's not that they scare me or anything. And if I get pulled over, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, let's move on. What we want to do, we're going to go into our closing statements. Right. And before we do that, though, I on behalf of Brent and I, we want to thank you for tuning in, taking time out of your very busy lives. Lots going on in our world today to get yourself to a place where you're receiving information that you can make a good, logical decision on what is important to you, what you're passionate about, where you see our county going. You've got a hard choice. I'm going to flat out say that. A very complex choice. These are 4 outstanding individuals. And I wish you luck as you go to vote coming up soon. Let's thank some people first, and let's go to the closing statements. Is that okay?
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
So I want to mention, and you'll help me if I forget.
Sure.
So first of all, my wife, Tanya, who's standing here holding a fan, pointing at us, really appreciate that. Richard,
more than you know.
Yeah, Richard, our teleprompter operator, and floor manager here, Bob, who I hope we can do this again.
We should. This is too much fun.
So in the back room, Sean Halliday, who is I know a lot about technology. He knows a lot more than I do, and I would not be here on the stage if it weren't for him. Bennett, my helpful producer who is with me, and he's my main guy here, and Alex McCadded, who produced the show and put it together. McDaddy, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, and just a ton of other people. Tom Hansen does our websites and with Wingmen Digital, and he's here tonight monitoring stuff. And
check them out.
Yeah.
Thomas,
Who did I forget?
I think we got everyone. And if we forgot you, forgive us.
Yeah.
No, good stuff. But I do also want to recognize our 4 candidates.
Yeah.
Who, quite frankly, put up with a lot as we were trying to get this dialed in at the very beginning. They had to look at me and clapping and getting sound checks and telling very bad jokes. So thank you to our candidates. We really appreciate you hanging in there with us. Okay, so let's move into our closing statements. We're going to wrap those up. They've got 2 minutes. And again, this is free flowing. This is not anything that's been structured. We have not put any parameters in place to guide them. This is from their heart and mind and soul to you as those candidates who want to lead us as our county sheriff.
Yeah.
And so with that said, you've got 2 minutes to give us your closing statement. Yeah. And I believe we're going to start with
Shane. But stay in your lane. Talk about yourselves. Go, Shane. Thank you.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you, Brent, for this opportunity to be able to come online like this, to be able to introduce myself. My bread and butter was to be able to get out there in the public and talk to people in person. And I greatly enjoyed doing that. And with this whole COVID-19 going on, it kind of locked us all down. And I've missed out on the opportunity to be able to see and meet many more great people here in the Valley. And then second of all, I would like to thank all my friends who have supported me through this and believe in me. And same with my family. My family's been a great big support for me. And then my kids. The kids are our future, plain and simple. And when I see my 2 young ones running around and see them, studying, for school and everything else, I want them to have a good, solid, safe future. So seeing that and understanding that everybody else's kids are the same way, I want to get in there and make a difference and ensure we secure their future. And then lastly, I'd just like to finish off my wife. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for my wife. She is my foundation. I go to her for everything, and I want to thank her and thank you all for hearing us out.
Right on, Shane. Thank you very much.
Give us your closing statement,
so,
man.
Cody, you're up.
Yeah, I'll echo Shane. Thank you, guys. Bob, fantastic job as always. Way to put up with everything and keep things rolling. Brent, thank you for the time and the effort. Thanks to the folks that tune in and listen. We've been wanting to get out and talk in front of you guys for a long time. So thank you for those of you that have tuned in. I just want everyone to know that I didn't start this job for anything more in my life than to help people and to be a sense of help in some of the worst times. And I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with our youth, of our community. And I truly believe that I want everyone to know that my heart and soul is in this. And I've lots of leadership. I have some great folks around me, including my wife. And I want to mimic Shane, but man, any humble man knows that without his wife, you're half the man you were. So half the man you are. So I plan to bring this community together, our office together, our surrounding other agencies. And I really want everyone to understand that relationships are crucial. And I have a great history of building relationships. And I want the opportunity to get out there and talk to you and show you that we can do this together and be a listening ear and be a helpful voice and be a leader to the folks around us and make this community better, make the relationships better, make the community safer, and absolutely, we can do this together. So thank you for the time.
Right on, Cody. Thank you very much. Hey, let's go to Bill. Bill?
And your crew. I want to thank all my supporters that have been stalwarts. My wife of 34 years. They said it best, behind every good man is a great woman. So I will return stability back to the sheriff's office. I have the experience to do that. I will uphold the Constitution and the Second Amendment. I'll expand the drug task force and make your children and your family safer. I want to fight this drug issue. I want to bring back the comprehensive reserve program and be directly involved with search and rescue and give them the tools they need to serve you, the citizens. I've had experience in all these areas. I've supervised in all these areas, and it's important to me to get back and do that. If you're a non-contract city and you don't believe you're getting the service that you deserve as taxpayers, I'm going to see that happens for you. You deserve it. You're paying our wages. You're the folks that need our help, and when we're there, and we can be there quicker if we're doing our job. So I would like to have people check out Bill Miller for Union County Sheriff on Facebook, and also Bill Miller for UC Sheriff at gmail.com, and look at my stuff, and be assured that my 30 plus years serving my country and serving the citizens of this county as a police officer, a volunteer, what have you, is important to me, and I want to continue doing that. And
Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for your words. Last, to bring us around, Boyd, final closing statement.
Okay, well, I kind of have to go back to my old high school football coach. I just had a text with him tonight, and he always said be a class act. And when you're battling on the field, when you're done, you shake hands and you be a class act. And so that's what I want to be. That's what I want my agency to be. And I had somebody the other day, actually, they were driving through Texas, and they saw a sign that said, hey, the best person for the sheriff is the sheriff. And hey, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And here's why. I've been a sheriff for a long time now, and as you see it all. And this last year, I was attacked by some political opponents and former employees and some just plain vindictive people. And I and my family were taken to some deep waters and through some rough times. And it was rough. And my wife was by my side the whole time. And we got some good news just the other day, and we survived. And no one should ever have to go through what we went through this past year. And I can tell you this much, as long as I'm privileged to be your sheriff, I promise you this, that I will never, ever allow false allegations or unlawful investigations to take part in my county to hurt you or your family or trample on your rights. And you can take that to the bank. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve as your sheriff in the last several years. And I ask for your vote and continued support. And God bless this county and God bless this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Boyd, and thank you, candidates. Excellent closing statements. As we bring our evening to a conclusion, on behalf of the candidates, Brent Clanton Productions, Old West Med Transport, and so many of you who tuned in tonight, we sincerely want to thank you for your time. We also want to remind you that May 19th is a big deal. It's a big, big day, so be sure you vote. This is that God-given right that we have. Let's not take that for granted in these times, in these days. I think it is vital that we take that seriously, go out of our way, and make sure to vote. And so,
and just a little clarification about the vote, and that is that, so if anyone gets 50% plus one vote, then it's over. That person is elected sheriff. So, and if nobody gets 50% plus one, then the two top vote getters will go on to the main race in November.
Okay, good to know. Good to know for our viewers, especially. So thank you for that. So Brent, talk to us about what's going on here. Is it tomorrow night and the following night? You've got a big docket coming up.
Yeah,
so tell us about that.
So right here, I mean, tomorrow night, same place, same station, except a little different event. We'll be hearing, so on Friday night and then 2 sessions on Saturday evening, we'll be hearing from the candidates that are running for the 2nd Congressional District seat. That's Greg Walden's seat. And I think there are like 15 candidates that are running for that. So we've had to break it up into 3 different forums. And we're doing this in conjunction with EO Media Group, who owns most of the newspapers in the area. And they will, Corinne Bragati and Chris Rush will be right here where we are. The 4 of the Democrat candidates will be phoning in, remoting in, hopefully a little more successfully than we did tonight.
This actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and then on Saturday night at 5 o'clock, we'll have 3 more Republicans, and then at 7 o'clock.
It's okay if it's a
Yeah,
little jumbled.
5. Yeah,
It's
5
okay.
and 7.
7,
Thank you. And at
yes.
7 then is 4 of the Republican candidates. And so it'll be the same kind of a style of thing. People will have an opportunity to submit questions and make comments. And but it's a great opportunity. It's a wonderful thing. This will be it's going to be have a huge. It will be streamed on our network, and then it will be streamed on all 8 of the Facebook pages of the newspaper. It will be go from Wallowa County clear to Bend.
Right.
So
lots of access.
Lots of
Absolutely.
access. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so be sure and check in on that. And again, I really appreciate you guys supporting us and being here. You got to know that we love sponsors. We need sponsors. The truth is that our sponsorships don't pay for the efforts that we make here. And so part of it is just we love the community. Mm-hmm. We know that communication makes a difference and makes our lives better when we can connect with each other and hear great positive stories. So as we grow and do our thing, we really appreciate it and would hope that you would consider advertising with us. Or on the production side, if you need us to build some professional commercials or productions for your business, then that helps pay the bills actually for the EO Alive TV side.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for that plug. And again, our preference is always going to be to have the candidates right in the studio, and we hope that the next time we'll all be able to be close together.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of Brent and myself, Bob Kavanaugh, thank you for tuning in. Have a great evening and much success to our candidates. Candidates, again, thank you for your time.